Hey guys, Bridget here. In this video, I want to talk about wireframes, and in particular, I wanted to share with you what are my views on wireframes after working as a UI UX designer for over a decade on companies of all sizes, from startups to enterprise companies. So I can give you a very wide overview, high level, which is going to essentially help you understand what is the role of wireframes at companies at different stages, and most importantly, when do you need a wireframe and when it's better to avoid using it, because it's not a compulsory part of a design project. So we have to start with some premises, and that is a wireframe is simply a tool within your UI UX toolbox in order to accomplish a goal. Now, what that goal can be, it really depends on the project. So, for example, a wireframe can help at a high level communicate an idea in a fast and efficient way. So if you zoom in one of these screens, and by the way, the same concepts are going to apply on web apps. So it really doesn't matter if it's mobile, tablet, or desktop version, because at the end of the day, a wireframe is going to help communicate an idea at a high level. So if, for example, there's a stakeholder involved in the process, you might want to communicate an idea at a high level even before you proceed and invest time and effort into the final UI design, which is going to be pixel perfect with all of the colors, all of the typography, because during the process, one of the most important things to keep in mind at all times is that speed plays a crucial role in both startups and also enterprise companies. So you definitely want to keep this in mind. I would say, based on my experience, usually startups or the type of organization which prioritize speed, and that is where a quick wireframe such as the ones that you can see right here, which by the way are from a UI kit called UX Flow by LS Graphics. So definitely check it out if you're interested. It's very important to keep in mind that these wireframes are going to help you utilize this communication tool in a relatively fast and efficient way. Now, what's another thing that you can use wireframes for? You can use wireframes in order to communicate the concepts of a screen in even more detail. So, for example, if I'm working on a web app, I can actually create a very detailed wireframe with all of the intricacies of say a top level menu or a side menu, and this is going to help communicate what are the needs of the app, for example, to a visual designer. So you can just be an information architect and think about the high level and focus on the content, and then hand over the wireframe to a visual designer or UI designer, which his sole role is to focus on the colors, the typography, creating the perfect layout and interactions, and create components which are going to work well within the design system. So syncing up the libraries, the color styles, the text styles, all of those intricate parts that create those design systems at scale. So usually this is going to be a flow which you'll find more often in larger companies. In startups, you're most likely going to do everything. So to give you a practical example, if I were to work on a new UX flow for a small to medium-sized company, most likely I'm going to create a quick wireframe set of screens so that you can easily understand what is the general flow, send it over to maybe the manager, maybe a stakeholder, the client, for a quick approval, And right after that, then you're going to take each and every individual screen and start working on the perfect typography, the color palette, the iconography, which is going to look beautiful. Those type of things are going to come in a second part after you get the essentially the approval of the general direction. So see it as a tool that you can leverage in order to speed up the work so that you don't have to waste too much time creating a perfect UI design which is never going to be utilized, or that you need to change for the very most part. And I would say this is the core element that I want to communicate when it comes to wireframes. Now, there's also another thing to keep in mind, and that is the level of fidelity of the wireframe. So, for example, these I would say are wireframes which are lower in fidelity. And to give you a practical example, higher fidelity wireframe would actually start using some text and essentially making the entire wireframe come more to life in terms of what is going to be the actual content that we're going to see in the wireframe. So adding things like actual titles and really going into the nitty-gritty of the design intricacies. And the rationale behind if you want to go with a high level wireframe or a low fidelity wireframe, it really depends on the process again, because if you just need a quick approval of the high level direction that you're looking to go towards, low fidelity wireframes are the way to go. They are going to avoid having the client or stakeholders or other team members, which can even be marketing team or even other designers, focus on details which aren't going to be important at that stage. So for example, maybe the text is not important, so you just want to have dummy text, or even better, just a block that symbolizes that we're going to add some text over here, but we don't really have the details. We don't really know what type of text we're going to add. So just having these placeholder sections are going to be really beneficial. And maybe instead of an image, you want to communicate something to a higher level of, to a higher degree, essentially. So one other thing that you can consider is maybe adding some icons which convey better the idea that you had for this specific image set. And also another thing that you can consider is adding some text which is going to briefly describe the idea of the wireframe. As it's done right here, I just noticed walkthroughs, but you can break this down into further subsets. So this might be the first of 3, and you can change the color, for example, and adjust these 3 dots. And number 1 might be this. So we're going to have the second option, which is going to be that, and so on and so forth. So it really depends on the project. There isn't a way that you should be tackling these. It always comes down to thinking by yourself on terms of what is the best approach for this specific project to get to the final solution with the most ROI. So I hope this video was helpful. You can find tons of wireframes for free on the Figma community. There's also premium wireframes, which you can find on UI8.net and other resources, of course. I'm just mentioning UI8 because I really love that website and I have a subscription. So whenever I need some premium resources, I always use it, just in case you were wondering. And if you want to learn more about UI UX design, I'm a designer with over a decade of experience, worked with over 40 companies. So feel free to check out the other videos.